It's a beautiful morning, afternoon, or perhaps an evening, wherever you're coming from. As we always say on our class with Herm, the internet time is relative. It's all the same where we're coming, and especially in quarantine. All the days that end in Y are the same. So, hello, welcome to another class of our, or another session of our class with Herm. I'm Herm. I'm an artist and illustrator based in Brooklyn, and I love baseball and I love to draw it. And I really want to share my love of drawing and baseball with you too. So every episode here on Our Class with Herm, we're going to draw and discuss a baseball themed drawing, most likely involving something to do with the Mets, because not only do I love them, but you got to know your audience, kids. So if this is your first time here, hello, welcome. Just introduced myself. This is our 15th episode. Pretty cool, right? We're in our teenage years now. So, but not worry, if you wanted to see all the other episodes, you can join us by simply just scrolling back on all of the 7-line feeds, and you can see all of our previous episodes. We drove Mr. Met and Shea Stadium and Citi Field. There's a little bit of everything on there. Or if you'd like, if YouTube's more your style, you can join us at ourclasswithherm.com. And that's going to take you to a YouTube playlist of all of our other episodes. So it's a really cool way to check those out. And while you're there too, if you really like the show and you're loving drawing with us and our discussions and our little art family here, make sure to subscribe and share with your family too. It's a really good way for us to grow and we can learn from each other, and we want to make this the best it can be. Anyway, short little plug there. So in our last class, what was that? Today is Wednesday. So that was Friday. Goodness. We drew the 7 train with Mr. Met in charge. That was awesome. Everybody seemed to have a really good time with that one. So one of my favorite things with that is you will see some of the drawings that we'll post in a second. Like, people got really creative with it. They picked certain train stations they really liked. They drew in stairs, so on and so forth. So as a good segue, thank you to everyone that followed along and drew with us on that day. They were amazing. So like we do on all of our episodes, we like to recognize 3 artists that we thought did a really awesome job, and we're going to gift them a $10 gift card to the 7 Lines website. So big thanks and big ups to the Bekmizian family. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Hope I got that right. Carolina and Benny. So these drawings were really awesome, and we wanted to, just kind of share you out and give you a little love. The Bekmizian family, he went through and drew all of the classes. So like every couple of days, he sends me a drawing that him and his daughter do. So I thought that was really awesome, and thanks for sharing. They look really great. Awesome. So before we talk about what we're going to be doing today, let's just talk about our supplies real quick. So as we do in all of our episodes, we're going to be drawing, right? So we need something to draw with. So I recommend crayons, markers, pens, pencils, all of that sort of stuff. I am just going to be using a standard 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that I pulled right from the drawer of my printer. The absolute finest here on Our Class with Herm. But like we always say, there are no rules. So whatever that you really want to draw with, feel free to go ahead and grab that right now. Cool. So this class, we are going to be drawing. Let's see if we get that. The 7 p.m. clap here, which is kind of fun. So for those of you that do not know, this is something, correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect in this, but this is something we started doing in New York, and at 7 p.m. every day as a big thank you to all of our first responders and essential workers. At least here in Brooklyn, everybody goes outside and they bang on pots and pans and they clap. And it's just a big thank you to everyone that goes out and, basically is like putting themselves in harm's way, essentially, in order to help make everybody safer and healthier. So it means a lot to me. My mom's a nurse down in New Jersey, and it means a lot to everybody else in the whole world, which is pretty awesome. So I know that everywhere in the world, they do a little, maybe different variation of this. Darren and I were talking before this in Spain. People go out on their balconies and they're like playing musical instruments and stuff, which is cool. I know in Long Island, they do like a fire truck kind of siren every day at the same time. New Jersey, they do something similar. But anyway, wherever you are, just nice to be able to take a few minutes out of your day and just like have a good time, get outside and just show your love and support to everyone that's just being amazing out there. So much love. You can see I really talk a lot about it because I love you so much. But we figure what better way to honor you than in my own little way with Mr. and Mrs. Met. So don't worry if this looks a little intimidating. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to draw this. So this is going to be really awesome. So spoiler alert, once we learn how to draw one of them, this is the same thing on the other side. So we'll be able to draw this. We'll go through Mr. Met step by step. Then we'll flip it and we'll draw Mrs. Met and I thank you. Sound good? All right, cool. All right, let's get cracking. Excuse me. All right, so let's take our piece of paper right there. Let me get a sip of my coffee. All right. All right, so for our drawing today, I'm going to be drawing horizontally, or my paper is going to be sideways, as we like to say. So the reason I'm going to do that is because we want it to look like Mr. and Mrs. Met are hanging outside of a window, celebrating. So we're going to use most of our space on there. So I bring that up because you want to plan out where you want everything to be, right? So I'm going to have like the banner down here. And I'll have Mr. Met and Mrs. Met right here. So as I said before, we'll start with Mr. Met and then we're going to break off and we'll draw Mrs. Met. Cool? All right. So I've got my really cool brush pen right here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with the brim of the hat, like we normally do when we draw Mr. Met. So I'm going to have my Mr. Met coming right here, okay? So first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to come down. I got my pen, and I am just going to draw kind of this little wavy line. You see that right there? You would think in 15 episodes I'd have a better word than wavy line, but work with what you got, kids. All right. So we got our little brim of our hat right there. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to connect it up. So I'm going to come over here on the left-hand side, and I'm just going to bring my pen around. And then I'm going to connect it like this. So I got something like that right now. So that's going to be the brim of Mr. Met's hat on there. Fun fact, this is how, if you want to draw like Donald Duck or Daffy Duck or something, this is basically, you just put another little line up there and you have his mouth. All right, so now that we have the brim of that and that great Donald Duck knowledge, let's go ahead and let's draw the top part of our hat, right? So I'm going to come into like the middle of the brim of my hat right here, and I'm just going to come up and I'm going to make this like horseshoe shape with this big U that comes down like this. So you can see we have this is the brim of our hat, and this is like the top of our hat. And then while I have that, I'm going to draw that little button on the top too. So that's that part. So shouts to the Yellens family. I know you told me the name of that, but I keep forgetting. Please throw it in the comments too. I'll promise I'll remember it for the next time we draw Mr. Met or hat. All right, so now you can start to see we got something, right? We got the brim, we got the top part of our hat, and that little button on the top. Now we're going to commit, and we're going to draw Mr. Met's head. So to do that, right, he's a baseball. So we're just going to draw a big circle. So don't worry if it's not a perfect circle. It's a drawing, right? So it's going to have a little liveliness to it. Just move my crayons out of the way. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here because I'm going to start up in this area because I'm covering the bottom part of my hat, right? So now that I have that there, I'm going to come down and I'm just going to make a circle. So I'm just rounding that out right there. There you go. So you can see it's not perfect, but you get what it is, right? It's a nice little circle for there. That's what's really fun about drawing. It doesn't have to be perfect. You get a little liveliness in your lines and stuff. And I think that makes for really interesting line work and drawing. Awesome. All right. So you can see we got Mr. Met's head basically and our hat. Let's go in and let's start to draw his face. One of my favorite things to draw. So if you followed along with me on all of our other classes when we draw Mr. and Mrs. Met, feel free to jump ahead. But if this is your first time, I'll walk you through how to do it. So when I draw Mr. Met, I like to think that he has this like really giant nose that's kind of sticking out, right? So in order to do that, we make kind of this like horseshoe shape that like shoots out to the side. And then we like kind of work with his eyes and stuff. So the reason we're going to draw the nose in first is once we have the nose in, we'll be able to decide where the mouth and where the eyes will be. So my nose is going to come right about here, right? So like I said, we're going to make this like horseshoe shape. So I'm going to come down, and sorry if my freckly hand's in the way. Come down, and I'm just going to pull it out and have that kind of shape right there. So you see like the horseshoe? Normally that's like a horseshoe shape. And I just kind of turned it sideways for our drawing. I love Mr. Met with this really big nose. It makes me laugh. It's so cute. All right, so now what we're gonna do is let's go in, let's add where his eyes are gonna be. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with just this like, kind of like a bent line that comes like right above the nose. So I'm just gonna take my pen right there and I'm just gonna draw this line. It comes down like that. So one of the things I like to do in order to make the drawing look 3D is I have the line, I go over and then I stop when it gets to the nose, leave a little space, and continue my line on the other side of the nose. This way the eyes look like they're popped out behind Mr. Met's giant nose that we just drew. All right, so let's draw our eyes now. So our eyes are very similar to the nose. We're drawing like another horseshoe shape. So we're gonna have one over here on the left. So there's one. So like a horseshoe or a big U, upside down U. And then let's have another one. So remember that just like we did with our eyes, they're coming out behind Mr. Met's nose. So I kind of work that in. So like if Mr. Met's nose is in the way, that's great. So just make sure you don't put your line through the nose. You can just kind of go behind it. And then on the ends of that line, on the bottom part of the eyelids, I like to put like a little curved bent line on the ends. You see that on the ends where I have like almost like another little horseshoe on both ends? And I do that because it looks like Mr. Met's like, there's like that part of your skin where your cheek is up, you know? And that's like what's kind of resting on Mr. Met's eyes. All right. So let's draw our eyeballs right now. So basically those are just two circles in our eyes. So you can kind of draw them however you want. But I'm going to have Mr. and Mrs. Met looking at each other. So that means I'm going to put my circles on the right side of Mr. Met. So I'll put one right here. Again, I apologize for my hand being in the way. So there's one. And then another one. So you can see those right there, right? So now what I'm going to do is this is like, you know, the iris of the eye, I guess that's right. And then we're going to draw the pupil in. So to do the pupil, I'm just going to draw another little circle on the inside. So again, they're going to be looking at Mrs. Met. So I'm going to draw those to the right. Can you see that right there? See how there's like one big circle and then the small circle on the inside? So now I'm just going to color in the shape around that small circle. So I want that small circle to use the white of the paper. And then that bigger circle, I'm just going to color in with my ink right there. There we go. Look, isn't that cool? It looks like something already. All right. So now that we got this, Mr. Met has these little eyelashes on the sides of his eyes. So to draw that, it's kind of like a little water droplet or a teardrop. So I kind of come on the side on the left. And I'm just going to add in that little shape right there. And then the same thing on the right. And don't worry, I'll bring that up to the camera. So that's my little shape. You see those little water droplets almost on the left and the right side? Those are Mr. Met's eyelashes. And then we'll draw those in real quick. Great. So now we have that. And then the last thing, right? He's got those beautiful eyebrows. So I'm going to draw like a similar shape, like that water droplet, or like a comma or an apostrophe, you know? So I'm just going to come down and I'm just going to add one on the left side and then one on the right. There we go. So I got something like this. And then I'm just going to color those in just so you guys can see a little better. So almost done with Mr. Met's head right there. There we go. All right. So now that we got like the top part of his face, let's draw the expression how excited he is. He's got a big smile on there. So our mouth is going to go right here, right? So again, feel free to jump ahead if you know what I'm going to do, but let me show you how I draw Mr. Met's mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the left right here, and I'm just going to draw this line that comes around just like this. This is where it gets really fun with Mr. Met. You can draw so many different kinds of like cartoony kind of mouths and stuff. So like this is cool, but I want to draw it like he's like really excited. So now that I have that line right there, just like I did with the eyelids, I'm going to draw this little bump on the end, just so it kind of looks like the top part of his lip, of his mouth. Then I'm going to come on the bottom now. So I'm going to leave a little bit of space on the mouth part, so it looks like his grin is coming up. and a little space. So I'm going to start like right about there. And I'm just going to bring down now, come down like this, and make our Mr. Met mouth like that. And again, you'll notice a pattern here. I always add that little curve at the end of those lines right there, just to kind of give it a little more definition, so it looks like, like a nicer line rather than just like stopping so abruptly. All right, so then once I have that there, I'm just gonna draw two little lines on the inside of his mouth, just like that. Can you guys see that? So these two lines right there. And again, that's just to give a little 3D look to our drawing. All right, so now that we got our mouth right there, let's go and let's add he's got a tongue, right? So a tongue, I'm just gonna make another one of those little U shapes, like right there. So that's his tongue. Now I'm just gonna fill in the inside of his mouth with my black ink right here. Here we go, that way you guys can see it. Not bad, right? All right, so now that we got that, two little things that we're gonna add to the mouth, I'm just gonna add another little curved line at the bottom of his lip right there, just to give a little definition again. And then another little curved line just at the top of that grin right there. Can you guys see that? So I added that line on the bottom and then that one on the top there. And I do this again, just so it's like, it shows that Mr. Met's smiling. So it's like pushing his mouth up. So it's adding that little bit of an extra definition to his mouth. Great. So almost done with Mr. Met's face right here. So now let's go and let's add those baseball stitches. So I usually start on the left here, and I just kind of bring down and I make this little snake line, right? Little curve kind of coming down. You can see that right there. And now we're going to draw the stitches. So to do the stitches, I'm going to draw like a heart shape coming down. So like, I'll show you. So here's like one part, and there's one part. So you see that on the top left right there? It's kind of like a really like a thin heart, like a smushed heart almost, or a boomerang. I'm going to keep drawing those down all the way down the end of my stitches here. So this is where you can get really creative. You can make like a ton of stitches if you want to have like 100 billion of them. But I like to make my stitches kind of big, like big fat stitches, just to kind of match everything else on his face. And then I add a little bit of space on there. And I'm going to add one more row of stitches on the other side of his face. So same thing, let's make a little snaky curved line right there on the right. And then I'm going to do the same kind of little hearts, but going the opposite way now. So like my hearts are going down. I'll draw one more so you can see. Can you see that right there? So it's like coming down a little bit. Pardon me. All right. Okay. So there's your Mr. Met head. Pretty cool, right? So I needed another sip of my coffee there. All right. So now that we have our Mr. Met head right there, we're going to go in and we are going to draw his hands right now. So we're going to learn how to draw these hands, and then we're going to build that into his body. So to draw the hands, what we're going to do is I want to think about where I want them. So my hands are going to be like right about here, right? So I'm going to start with his left hand. So to do that, what I'm going to come down like right here. And I'm just going to make this like half circle. Just like this right there. So you make like that little, but let's go back on our horseshoe. So I drew another horseshoe shape on there. So now that I have that, I'm going to come up and we're going to start to draw his fingers in. So I have one here. So it's like almost making like the number 6, right? So I just continued up with that line. And then I'm going to come over a little bit. I'm going to add another line. That's going to come up like this. And then I'm going to do one more. So I can make a little bit of space again. And I'm going to make one more finger. And then I'm going to connect it with the bottom part that we have. So before I finish it, so you see again, we started with that little half circle. Then we went up with that finger all the way on the left. Went over a little bit. Added another little line up there, and then did the same thing on the right, one more line, and then connected it It's like that sausage, we rounded that out at the top, the little sausage shape, and then connected it to the bottom part of the glove. And then right here, I'm just going to connect that right in there. Cool. So these are like we always say, Mr. Met has 4 fingers. A lot of cartoon characters have that. So we have the 4 fingers. Let's go ahead and let's add his thumb. So I'm going to have his thumb right here. So again, apologies for my hand in the way. But you can see right there, I just added that little bump right there for his thumb. And then underneath here, I'm just going to add another little curved line at the bottom of the glove there, because that's like kind of the part where you put your hand into the glove right there. Pop that in. All right. You know what? I'm just going to change my lights real quick. This one's starting to dim out so you guys can see a bit better. Is that better? I ordered these selfie lights on Amazon, and one of them looks really good and the other one is not so good. So take that with a grain of salt, Amazon. There we go. All right, now let's kick it. Can you see better? Great. All right. There is our Mr. Met glove. And then the last thing I'm going to do, so see where these lines are right here, where his fingers end? I am just going to add this little, kind of like that curved line, just at the bottom there. And that is just to give like a little definition of his knuckles. Great. Pretty cool, right? So it's almost like Mickey Mouse's glove a little bit. We didn't say that. This is Mr. Met's glove. Goodness. All right, here we go. So let's draw the other hand right now. So it's going to be kind of similar to this one, but now we're drawing like the inside of the hand. So we're just it's going to be similar, but it's like kind of shaped a little different. Let me show you what I mean. So first thing we're going to do is I want my hand like right here in this direction because he's like clapping, you know, it's like coming like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start down here and I'm going to make this like kind of this curved line that comes up like this. So remember before we made this line here that almost looked like the number 6 a little bit? We're going to draw that same line, but maybe a little smaller here and then coming up now, but just opposite. So that's going to be one part of his finger. So now I'm going to come down and I'm going to bring it up. And I got my one finger right there. So you can see that I kind of came down and popped it there. Let's continue. So I'll come down now, add that other little finger there. And then one more. And I'm going a little fast here, but let me, I'll add those in and then I'll come and show it to you. So you see that? It's almost like a paw. So we have those like 3 fingers up there. And then this little bump right here, that is like the inside of your hand. So if you guys look at your hands right now, you can see, there's like this muscle right here for your thumb. And there's like this other little part of your muscle for your pinky right there. So when you're drawing, I like to add in that little bit of definition so it doesn't look so flat you're drawing. It's kind of fun. Okay, so now that we have that little bit of a bump, let's go in and let's continue and let's add our thumb in. So our thumb's going to go right here. So I'm just going to come down, make that thumb, and then I'm going to connect it like this. He's got a big fat thumb there, look at that. There we go. So remember before I was talking about those little bumps in the hand? So you can see a little bit. So like there's that muscle and there's that bit right there. And just like we did right here, I'm just going to draw that bottom part of our glove. So it looks like that's that part of the hand where we're going to have Mr. Met's hand go into. Great. All right. So the last bit to make it look like he's really clapping, I'm going to add in these, see these little lines right there? So they're kind of like just like we drew Mr. Met's eyebrows and eyelashes. They're kind of like, you know, action strikes. So it looks like he's clapping. So depending on where you're, so I'm going to have one like right here. I'll put another one like right here. And then maybe another one like right here on his mouth. So you see, so you can add these lines wherever you have space. So you see on my original drawing, I had them in a little bit of a different spot, like up there. But like here, I'm just kind of working with where I ended up with my lines. So you can just kind of fit them in there. All right. So now that we have Mr. Met's hat and face in our hands, let's go and let's add the rest of his body in there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw his sleeve. So I'm going to come over here on the left part of our drawing. And I am just going to come over And I'm just gonna make this kind of like curved line that goes like right here, this down. Then I'm gonna come in a little bit and I'm gonna leave a little bit of space and I'll make this other bit of a curved line. Now, the reason I did this is his sleeve, and this is like the part where his arm is gonna come out of his sleeve. So now, I'm going to take the other part of that sleeve and just have that other little bit of a curve, a little bit of a bump right there. You see that? And again, I just do that to give a little bit of definition. And now I'm going to draw this like curved line that comes down and it's going to connect to Mr. Met's glove. Let me show you what I mean. So I come down here and I just make this curved line and come down like that. You see that? Kind of cool, right? It's my favorite part about drawing is you make these really simple lines and they come up with these like awesome ways to make it look like an arm and such. All right. So then let me just continue with make my line a little up my sleeve hole a little longer right there. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a very similar line like we did for the first part that we did for the brim of the hat to the arm, because that's like the muscle in your forearm. So again, so I'm just going to make this kind of like a bump up and then connect like this. You see that there? So it's always going to, like your muscle is always like bigger towards the elbow and then it gets a little thinner to the wrist. Great. And then it's very similar on the right side. The other hand, I'm just going to put a little line right there. Just a little baby line. Now we do that because this is where we're going to put like the windowsill. Okay. So let's go ahead. So now that we got Mr. Met in there, let's go ahead and add our window. So I'm going to have Mr. Met's arm kind of like resting out of it a little bit. Actually, look, he's hanging out. This is pretty straightforward. We're just going to draw a rectangle. So I'm going to have a rectangle like right here to like here. Just playing that out. And I'm just going to draw my line across right there. Now this is up to you. You can make your windowsill massive, like really big. Mr. Met works hard. He's got those big bay windows. I'm going to have mine coming like right about here. And then I'm going to draw another rectangle that comes up. So I'll have it come up like here. Oops, sorry. And then like right up here. And then I'm going to connect it at the top. So this is up to you. You can make like a curved window or really cool shape or something. I'm just going to use like our standard windows. So we made that rectangle. I'm going to draw another rectangle on the inside of that rectangle. So I'm just doing this to make it like the window frame. So if you guys look at your windows right now, you'll see that like there's like that window frame of it, right? There's like the rectangles or the circles, however it is, and there's like that. It's like a wide shape. So that's what we're just trying to draw right here. All right. So that's our window frame here. So let's draw one more rectangle, and I'm going to draw it like kind of like right above his eye line, like right about here. So basically, the reason we do this is Mr. Met's like sticking his head out. And then I'll draw one more, kind of level that out right there. All right, so you can see, right? This is the open part of the window, and then the window opened up. So up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a bunch of little straight lines across like this, because they're like blinds, right? Like you have, like, I think they're called Venetian blinds. I could be totally wrong, but any of you window enthusiasts, please write in the comments what they're called. But I'm just going to draw those vertical lines coming across, or horizontal lines, excuse me. So I'm just going to throw a couple of them in there really quick. And this is just to give a little definition to our drawing. So it doesn't just look like he's sticking his head outside of a square. Running out of ink there. And pop that in right there. So these are the kind of blinds that you guys have on your windows? I do. That's why I drew them. I got these awesome ones from IKEA. Not sponsored. I just really love them. We have those right there. Cool. All right. And then the last bit here. Now this is up to you. I am going to color in this area here in black with my ink. And that is just so you guys can see where I'm drawing in there. But you can leave yours blank and you can color it in later with like whatever color you want. Like if you wanted to add yellow or orange, or if you wanted to get really creative and maybe you could throw in like some parts of Mr. Met's apartment or his house in there, maybe like a lamp or I don't know, a television, whatever Mr. Met. I wonder what Mr. Met watches on TV. He's not watching baseball, that's for sure right now. Or maybe, do you think he ever gets home? He's like, you know what? I've had enough baseball. It's all I do. I am a baseball. Let me watch tennis. Anyway, there we go. So just really quick, I just threw in those lines right there. All right. So now we have our Mr. Met right there, right? So we're going to do the same thing now, but opposite for Mrs. Met. So I'm going to go a little bit faster on this one, but I'll slow down when we get to the parts that make Mrs. Met Mrs. Met. And that's because a lot of this is very similar to Mr. Met. So again, I'm going to have Mrs. Met like right here in this section. And again, I'll just draw another one of those lines, that curved line there for the hat. And I'll just bring this around for the hat. So again, I'm just going to go a little bit faster on this one just because we just did the same thing. So our brim right there. And then again, that big U shape for the hat and that little bump on the top. All right, now here's where we get a little different on here. First thing we're going to do is Mrs. Met has like a nice head of hair, right? So right here where the hats would normally meet the head, I'm just going to draw this little curved line that comes like this. You see that line right there? So it's Mrs. I just went down and drew like a little smiley face in the way. And then I'm going to come down on this end here, and I'm just going to make another little curved shape like this. My Mrs. Met's going to have nice big hair. You see that line? So it's like I had that smiley face, and then we made another little curve that comes in. And now I'm just going to connect it with like a circle. So let me show you what I mean. So what I did here is I just drew like a round shape around the side there to kind of connect that in a little bit. It almost looks like a peanut. Remember we drew peanuts in our second episode right there? Similar to that. All right, so now that we have that, let's go ahead, let's add her head. So her head's a baseball too. So I'll have it like this. And we just have this baseball shape that comes around. See that? It's kind of fun, right? Pardon me. So now that we have that here, Mrs. Met has a ponytail. So to make a ponytail, I'm going to do the drawing first, and then you can copy me. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to make this little swirl. So a shape like that. So again, this is really similar shape to what we did for the hands, right? Can you guys see that? A little bit. That's like the inside. This is like the top part of her ponytail kind of comes in. And then I'm just going to connect it with the bottom part of our hair. So there you go. So you see, like now she's got like this ponytail that's kind of popping out there. All right. So now for her face, same thing as Mr. Met. So, but she's looking at him. So it's like flipped. So again, we're going to draw that nose, that big horseshoe kind of nose. Then I'm going to draw that line in there. That goes again right behind her nose there because she's got a big nose too. And now I'm going to draw those other horseshoe shapes for her eyes. Let's get one right there. Let me get another one. And again, those circles. But I'm going to have these circles going to the left this time because she's going to look at Mr. Met. And then those little circles in there too. And then I'm going to color in around those little circles and leave that little circle there, white, like white of the paper. Can you guys see where we got so far? So again, just like you did with Mr. Met, well, we're just flipping it over. All right, so remember how we drew Mr. Met has those like teardrops or those water droplets for his eyelashes? Mrs. Met has these little triangles on there. So I just drew these. Can you see that right there? On the left, I just kind of drew those little, like, I don't know, little eyelashes. They're like little lines that kind of go out. So I'll do the same thing over here. They're so fun to draw. Look at that. She looks beautiful. Then I'm going to draw her eyebrows in. Just like Mr. Mint before, there's like commas or apostrophe shapes on there. Now this is fun. Now in this part here, I'm having you can see my eyebrows going over her hair a little bit here. And that's totally cool because I'm just, see that, like you can see right here how it's going over her hair. When I color that in with the black, you're not even going to notice that. So let me show you what I mean. So you can have that. See? Totally gone. Now it looks like it's popping right over it, right? Whenever I draw Mr. and Mrs. Mint, I like to have like the eyebrows like always like really high, like kind of popping out. They add like a little bit of excitement overall. And then just like we did with Mr. Mint's mouth, we'll go ahead and we'll add that in. So again, I had that little bump. Add that big smile line coming up. And I'll come down and I'll add another smile line. Just like that. And then let's add in those two little curved lines on there too. Oh, my selfie lights are dying here. Apologies for that, guys. All right. So again, I'm just gonna have another little tongue right there, just like we did with Mr. Mint. Now, the big difference between the Mr. Mint's mouth is that she has like some lipstick on there, right? So you can see it's kind of like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna draw like a sideways number 3. So I'll come up at the top and I'll make one bump right there. And then I'll make another bump just like this. So you see that right there at the top? That's the top of her mouth. And then I'll do the same thing on the bottom. But when I'm actually just like another little horseshoe shape at the bottom. So you see that at the bottom? Excuse me. So she got a little lipstick there. Oh, I almost forgot. So we'll add that little smile line at the top right there. And then I'll add in those little curved lines at the end of her eyelashes there too. There we go. And then let's add in her stitches. So again, feel free to jump ahead of me here. And then we're gonna add those stitches in there. We'll pop that in over on this side here too. And again, the same exact thing that we did with Mr. Mint over here. Let me color in that mouth there. I'm really excited to see your guys' drawings on this. I think it's cool if people are going to take a really creative approach to all this kind of stuff. Excited to see the different windows and excitement and such. All right, so let's draw the hands. So again, I'm going to have my hands come down here a little bit. And again, it's the same thing we did before, but flipped. So I'm going to go a little bit faster. So again, I'm just going to come down with this curve. I'm going to bring this shape up like this. Just like that number 6 shape, but flipped. Come in again with that shape there. Another little space, another little bump. And then I'm just going to connect them at the top right there. Just like that. I'll have that line come across. And then our thumb. So this is fun. Now that you know how to draw like Mr. Mint's gloves, you can have his hands, you know, cheering or, you know, high-fiving and such. And then we'll add that little part of the glove at the bottom. And whenever you make Mr. Mint's hands do different things, you can just have them like, you know, spread out or like straight or a fist or something. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that. So that's that. Let's go in. Let's add that other hand there. So again, that same shape, that number 6 shape. I'm going to come up and I'm just going to connect it like that. So that's like the inside of the finger. You see that shape? Almost that peanut shape again. We'll come up, we'll add another little sausage finger. That one. And then this guy right there. Now for this one, again, just like we did here, I'm gonna have our thumb come up, bend in a little bit, and then connect to the bottom part of our glove. You guys see that? There we go. And then again, just on the bottom there, I'm going to have that bottom part of our glove. And then now I have more space. I'll add in those like action lines for the clapping. Yes, I have one there, one here, and one there. Kind of cute, right? And then again, just like we did with Mr. Met, I'm gonna have my sleeve right here. I'll draw a line right there. And come down up here. The space, her sleeve's gonna be a little bigger. And then I'm just gonna come down and connect the arm right in that area right there. And then another part of that top arm right there. So this is where you can get creative with the sleeve and stuff too. Maybe I'm gonna add like a little decoration line right there. So it's just like two lines that come across like this curve. But that's up to you if you want. I'm just gonna I'll add, maybe make a whole jersey white or blue. So let's go in again. Let's add that window. So again, I'm just gonna go a little faster on this because it's the same thing. So that rectangle. You guys are doing great. Sorry, I just wanted to go a little faster because again, it's the same thing, and I don't want you guys to just be like, okay, Herm, we get it. It's another square. All right, so we'll pop up here, have that rectangle coming up. We can add that up here too. And again, have fun with this. If you want to have different kind of windows, your windows don't have to look exactly like mine. I'm just drawing your standard kind of windows. Kind of popping in right there, just our window frames. And I'll have that right there. And I'll pop that in there. And let's see, maybe I'll have her window up a little bit more because her head's popping out. So maybe I'll have her window come up like right about here. And then let's add in those blinds again that I love so much. There we go. You can see my pen starting to run out a bit. Here we go. And right here, I have this space where her arm should be. So I'm just gonna have another line that comes across like that, just to connect that in. And then again, this is up to you if you want to leave this white and color it in a different color later. But I'm gonna fill mine in with the black, just so you guys can see it a little bit. And what's cool is that if you color this in, it's really gonna have a little bit of pop to it. Like you'll really be able to see where Mrs. Met and Mr. Met are coming through. Getting some ink out there. There we go. What's fun about these pens is you squeeze it to get more ink. And it just it starts rushing out. Here we go. Pop that in, y'all. There we go. Oh, I'm coloring her sleeve. Oh my goodness, I made a mistake. Forget about that. We'll fix that in post. We'll pop that in right there. That's okay, it doesn't really make that big a deal on there. Great. All right. So the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna draw on this banner right here. Right? And this is pretty easy. This is basically just like a rectangle with kind of like a rounded out corner on the bottom. So we'll do that here too. So I'm just gonna have this big smile line that comes down like this. And my idea is this banner is going to be connected between the two windows. You just want to make it the same, similar length to that. And then I'm going to have these two curved lines on the ends right there. This is really fun, right? And then one more big smile line at the bottom to kind of level that out. So you can see we have this banner, right? So again, it's one big top at the bottom and then there. And then I'm just gonna have a couple lines here, just to connect it to the end of the window frame. Yeah. And one there. And then I'll put in these little circles where those strings are hanging. So you see those little circles I put on the end there? No one's gonna recognize that except us, the artists, because it's kind of a fun little addition to it. All right. So we're almost done here. So in the banner, you can get really creative again. You can write, you could thank someone personally, maybe your mom or your dad, or the doctors in your neighborhood, or maybe somebody. I'm going to write a generic thank you on here. But again, you can kind of write whatever you want. Whoever you want to show appreciation to that's really been super helpful for you, you can pop that in. So I'll write thank you. And I'm just going to make these like bubble letters on there. That way I can color it in and have fun with it. So this is my thank you to everyone. Big ups there. Thank you. And let's throw a little exclamation points on there, right? Because who doesn't love one of these? Great. All right. So that's pretty much your drawing right there. But just for fun, I'm just going to write clap a couple times around here just to really get the momentum going. You could write bravo. And I'm just putting this in there. Ooh, sorry about hitting the camera there. Just a couple claps right there. Just to show the excitement. All right. So real quick, let me just go in there and color this in. So how did you guys like drawing that? Pretty fun, right? So I'm gonna draw my sleeves in here blue. Pop that in right there. So this is really fun. My favorite part is coloring. This is where we get a good chance to kind of catch up and draw. So awesome job, guys. I know this one can be a little repetitive, but that's what's really fun about drawing. When you learn how to draw one thing really well, you can go ahead and you can kind of continue that. So like we learned how to draw Mr. Met in the beginning, and then just by, you know, adding basically a ponytail and a hairdo, we got Mrs. Met. And you can continue that. So now that you guys have seen Mr. Met drawn, oh man, my goodness, probably like 5 times at this point. So feel free to go in there and draw Mr. Met doing whatever you want. That is my favorite thing to do. Man, I honestly have drawn probably 1,000 Mr. Mets at this time. I'm not even exaggerating. Some of you guys can attest to that. And what's cool about that, you can just see like, you know, Mr. Met can be very topical, like what's going on in the news or whatever is cool nowadays in terms of style and fashion and stuff. But like we always do here, sound off in the comments there where you guys are drawing from. We got our art club that covers the world, honestly, here. We got friends in Italy, friends in Japan, friends in Australia. Get out of here. Isn't that crazy? Who would have thought? When you woke up this morning and you're like, oh man, this is the best part of my day. We get to draw with Herm and everybody. That you'd be drawing with people all over the world. So, you know, maybe we can like make friends and like send our drawings to each other and stuff. That's another thing too. The Carolina's drawing, I saw that she wrote that to her grandpa. So I think that's really cool. I think he's gonna love that. It's a nice gift. I would know I'd be excited about it. So make sure to hand that off to whomever you think would really appreciate it. So pop that in there. And I'm just gonna kind of add a little bit of brown to my window frame there. Kind of pop it. And you can make Mrs. Met hair whatever you want. They make her hair brown. But like in the 60s, if you look, I know her hair was red, like an orangish, which you know I'm partial to. Add in that frame right there. Yeah, and then also let us know what you want to draw. I could sit here and draw Mr. Met all day, but I know that might be boring for you guys. So let me know what you want me to teach you guys. I know man, City Field, the City Field, Shea Stadium, things like that. People have like commented that they wanted to draw that stuff. So that's how we came up with those ideas. So yeah, sound it off in the comments there, what you want. All right, so that is our Mr. Met and Mrs. Met drawing, celebrating all the amazing people that have been, you know, being so great to us. And like we always like to say here, it's best to sign and date your drawing. That way you can like take credit, ownership for it. And you can look back and see how amazing you've gotten. So I usually like to sign on the bottom, right? So I'll sign my name right there, little Herm. Show me your autographs too. If you guys have like really cool autographs, I like to make mine with a little smiley face. I can show you that. Woo, it's pretty neat. And then today is May 13th. Goodness me. Time flies when you're sitting inside. May 13th, 2020. And again, what's cool, if you keep drawing, I mean, weeks, months, years from now, you can go back and be like, look at how much awesomer I've gotten with that overall on there. Cool. That was crazy, right? Amazing. I'm so excited you guys joined me on that. So I really want to see your drawings. We get to talk a lot, but I want to see what you guys are drawing. Pull out my handy dandy hot dog right there. So here's some different ways we can share all that. So you can find me on Instagram at Herman. So if you tag that on there, make sure to tag me in. I really want to see it. My promise to you is I'll always repost, comment, all that stuff. We can kind of share that fun. If Twitter's more your style, you can find me at hermsterms.com. And again, don't forget to tag the 7 line too. So we enjoy watching all your drawings, and feel free to throw those in there so we can share them out and repost them with everyone. And if you want to see some more about me, you can visit me at my website, hermsterms.com. You can see some of my other kind of illustration work on there and some other things I draw. And like I did last week, I added some stuff to my web store too. So I have just 4 more of these Pete Alonso 53 game prints, which are cool. So if you guys wanted those, this is really silly, but I 50 Cent throwing out the first pitch is one of my favorite things. So I drew that same thing 50 times. It's a little booklet, comes with a cool little pin and an original drawing from the book. So you can pop that on. Feel free if you're feeling sassy on there. But thank you so much, guys. I love you to death. You're amazing. You're going to do amazing things every day in your life. And I can't wait to be there to share all your drawing skills with. Make sure to subscribe and share so we can kind of grow this and get to draw all the fun stuff we want. And again, don't forget to tag us in there. Have an amazing day. I can't wait to see you. And we will see you on Friday with a drawing that I don't know what we'll be doing. But hopefully with your suggestions, we'll come up with something really cool. All right. I love you to death. Have a great day. Bye-bye.